Hey there, I wanted to do a tutorial this time on little shields that I made. I was looking for something to put onto my diorama just to add some colour, something a little more diverse, and I stumbled across these. I looked online and I couldn't find anything like them, and I just decided to start making them from XPS foam, and they are really easy to make and they look great, and you could have an infinite combination of shields that you could make. They're just great little pieces for dioramas, tabletop gaming, all sorts of stuff. So I hope you get something from the video and I hope you enjoy it. I just drew up a circle that was the size that I wanted it to be for the first shield. I cut it out and sanded it, and then I used items like lids to make the patterns in the shields. They had interesting patterns in them, and it was very easy and convenient to use. I went from the outer ring inward, going with the smaller items like this ring and then a pen to make an impression, because I found if you work from the outside in, you don't have problems with it being off center. A slightly smaller shield, I used the lid of a glue container, and then for the center I just used the end of the pen again. I then used a coffee stirrer to draw up lines to make what will look like wood in this little wooden buckler, and then some toothpicks just to run lightly across and make some grain in the boards or the wood that I've created. For this shield, I wanted to have a bit of a curved shape to the foam, so I just used a rounded object like the lid of this toothpick container, and then I just applied pressure and kept rubbing it until it gave it a little bit of a dish shape. Then I just very lightly drew in the design of the shield that I wanted after I'd given it a bit of a curve. I did it super light so I don't actually mark the foam until I'm happy with the design. And then just cut it out and sanded it nice and lightly. It helps make it porous so the paint and ink will soak into it. And then I just drew a basic design, seeing as it's kind of a one-off thing when you're drawing on foam because you have to be so delicate with it. I just did something really basic and nice and sort of symmetrical. Even just these few, they're all completely unique from each other, which is really nice, and they were so quick to do. And there's this little one that it kind of had a bit of a wonky side, so I thought I'd detach the piece that was a little bit off and then just make a broken shield. And I'm going to make a little arrow to stick in it later, so I'm going to put the holes in before I stain and paint them. Just sort of roughly move it all around the little hole that I've made, just so it looks damaged. It looks quite good already. The detail picks up so beautifully in the foam. I put plenty of ink on and just let it soak right in so it becomes nice and dark. Otherwise I'd have to do a second coat. It's amazing how much it soaks up the ink. Once you get this ink on, you can really start seeing the patterns coming out. To make a little boss for the shields, I just made some little balls of polymer clay, baked them and then cut them in half, and then just glued them down and stained them along with the shield. And they look alright, they're a nice quick fix. It seems to work quite well. You can really see that detail, it's picked up in it now the ink's on there. the wood and the grain, and it looks aged even though it's not painted. It looks great. I made some, I guess it's like a gunmetal kind of silver. I just used some blue, black and silver acrylic paint. I just applied it to all the places that I wanted to have what looked like steel. And I did about 3 layers, lightening each time as I went, and just doing it sporadically so it wasn't a literal coat of paint lightening as it went. I just want it to look tarnished in different places. When I put this blue and burnt sienna on, it looks really bright, but once again being foam, it'll absorb a lot of the colour as it dries, and it's still quite a lovely brilliant blue, though it's still wet, but it really stands out. You could do so many different combinations of colours with these shields. You could make amazing looking pieces for any work that you're doing. I think I could have happily sat there and made 100 of these, because every one of them would have been completely different. With the grey, it's just black, brown, blue, yellow and white to make an off-white, so it has an aged look. And applying it, you just unload the brush and dry brush it in the opposite direction of the grain that you've created. I gave these wooden ones a couple of coats just so it really bring out the highlights in the fine detail. This shield, I found the edges were a little bit off, so I thought I'd just go nuts with it and start pulling bits off and make it look really damaged, and it worked. Another good colour combination too, I really like these ones. They're kind of a little bit earthy, so they don't look completely modern and garish. Finally, I just did little bits of silver just to bring out little highlights and try and make it a little more inconsistent. You definitely don't want consistency, because then things begin to look unreal, oddly enough. You need the opposite effect when it comes to making something realistic. I just glued the little arrow from the back so the glue wouldn't dry and be seen through the arrow. That looks pretty good too. And that's all the shields laid out on the diorama. They look great. I really like them. I think I'm going to make some more because they're fun to make and they just really look really good. Even the really basic wooden bucklers look great. I especially like the broken one with the arrow sticking out of it. Have a go at making these if you can, because they are great fun to make and they look so good. And that's all there is for this video, and I'll see you next time.